Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at Mooncat's latest collection, Seasons of Persephone. So Mooncat was gracious enough to send this over to me as a gift / PR if you will, and I'm under no obligation to create any content or do anything of any sorts with this collection. They're just like, here you go, thank you, and move on from there. But I need to disclose this because it's only fair that you know that I did not pay for this. However, the opinions are still that of my own. And so I want to talk a little bit about two new additions to the Mooncat multiverse. And that is a new metallic formula that they have. And this one is the Trouble with Immortality. And it's a very coppery brown and it's bright. When I was swatching this, I feel like the camera couldn't capture it because of how bright it is. And then a very special one to the Mooncat multiverse is the thermal polish. And it's called Queen of the Dead. Can you see it kind of? And you'll see more about it later on in the swatch video. But anyway, that's my spiel, and let's get on to swatching 9 polishes. So up first we have the Trouble with Immortality. This is a very copper-esque metallic polish. First coat, very sheer, which is expected, I think, of majority of polishes. I do have textured nails, so sometimes the polish can pool within those ridges that I have and create a patchy look. I found that in 2 coats I got enough coverage. I could still see my nail line. However, I don't think anybody's looking at my nails as close as I am in this video. As a personal reflection on this polish on me, I do not enjoy this color. I think it clashes with my skin tone a little too much. Having all of my nails this single color, it just doesn't look right in my mind. Up next we have To All Who Ghosted Me, and this is a purple gray base polish with a blue shimmer in there. I don't have something like this in my collection, so this is very unique to me personally. First coat, very sheer. A disclosure here, my right thumb is even more textured than my left thumb, and you can really tell in the first coat and how the polish is sitting in those dents. So personally for me, without a blurring base coat, this will be a 4 coater. Some people may have issues with anything above 3. However, I don't really mind. It's just one more coat. It's going to be another coat regardless if I add a blurring base coat. Overall, I'm really shocked at how this built up even without a blurring base coat. But on the second coat, it really showed that build up process. It also levels out itself really nicely. So I think I fumbled with the third coat. I might have gone a little too light of a load on the brush here, but I feel like if I had done a normal brush load that I could have gotten full coverage in 3 coats, or maybe that's just my own delusion. As I show around my thumb here, you can see in the crevices that I have that it's more patchy in there. And so I go in with a 4th coat, and that 4th coat really covers everything up. I don't see any patchiness. I don't see my nail line. It's just nice coverage. However, again, some people might have issues with that. So I want to show you all how this polish performs with a blurring base coat. So here it is, first coat with and without. Second coat with and without. Huge difference. Up next we have Petals for a Narcissist, and this is a very, very light gray base polish with a purple to red shimmer. You can really tell the red shimmer at extreme angles like this. Upon the first coat, it almost looked like a clear base coat, but reviewing this video now, I see that it does kind of create a clouding effect for it, which makes me think this would be good for like a layered design, like putting a white creme polish in there and doing something like a jelly sandwich of sorts. It also levels out really nicely, which is great for a very sheer polish such as this. Mooncat does claim that this polish is intentionally sheer, so I'm not going to fight it too much, but I am going to do a 3rd coat just to see where the buildup is. So I definitely think I went a little heavy on the 3rd coat here with the polish. However, even then you can still see my nail line with it, so it lives up to the sheer name that Mooncat portrays it to be. I will show you how this polish performs with a blurring base coat. To note, I have 2 coats of peel off base coat for easy removal, and then 1 coat of the blurry base coat, and then Petals of a Narcissist. So let me know down in the comments if you would wear this with a blurring base coat or if you would go without it. Up next we have Dillys Ivy, which is a cool tone sage green polish, and it is the magnetic polish of the collection here. Because it's packed with so many silver flakes, it almost gives off a reflective polish type of vibe. Overall, I felt that the formula was a little on the thicker side, but I think that's the case with most magnetic polishes. So because my thumb is very textured, I will need to do more coats than necessary to get that smooth look. I don't know if a blurry base coat would help in this situation because I don't see my nail line, it's patchy where my indents are. So applying the third coat here, it definitely helps in the opacity of the overall color of this. However, because of my darn nail, I still see some patchiness mainly in the center of the nail. I don't think the camera is catching it, but in person, I can definitely see that patchiness. And then I want to show you that there are some red fragments in the polish. I don't know what they are. I don't know if that's for like the magnetic effect or what. And then I wanted to show you how this magnetizes in the velvet look and in the cat eye look. Next up we have Garden of Evil, and this to me is a very vibrant olive green color. It's in the prugly category, especially because like of all the elements it has. It has that ugly green that most people don't enjoy, and then it has the purple to red shimmer on top of hollow pigments. It's the perfect combination that is a pretty polish and a ugly polish. So it's a pretty great combination of a polish here. It's a very sheer polish, so second coat didn't really do too much. I still see my nail line, I still see some patchiness, so third coat hopefully to the rescue. The overall formula is really good to work with. It levels out itself really nicely and it's not too thick and it's not too runny. It's a really good consistency. So I really like that about this polish. So even on a third coat, I still see my nail line. I'm wondering how it would differ with a blurring base coat. However, blurring base coats are very milky and I don't know if this would change the color of Garden of Evil, specifically the base color of Garden of Evil, to make it more creamy in a sense. And here's a close-up shot of Garden of Evil. You can really see the elements that this polish really has. Next up, we have Fields of Elysium.
Elysium.
From what I can see in the bottle, this seems to have the same elements or similar elements to Garden of Evil, but just a different base color. I show a little comparison here of how they differ or how they're similar. They have the same like shift properties. It's just Garden of Evil's shiftiness is stronger, whereas Fields of Elysium is a little muted. But they both have the holographic pigments. They're both green base. It's just one is more muted than the other. On the first swatch here, this is giving me very murky water type of vibes. It's a little more gray leaning and then hints of green is in there. So a very sheer polish as well. On the second coat here, it definitely has more coverage than Garden of Evil did in my opinion. It's nice to see that the nail line is slowly disappearing underneath the layer of polishes here. And it's not as patchy as I thought it would be, seeing how light of a shade this is. As I apply the third coat here, the polish is giving me more cementy vibes. I don't know if it's just me, but it's turning more gray, obviously because it's more opaque now. The overall consensus is I'm very surprised by the coverage that this polish has with being such a lighter shade. Here's a close-up of it. I'm a huge fan of the shifting shimmers. It's just interesting to see that there's like 5 out of the 9 polishes that have the same shimmer type or shimmer color and range. Next up we have Love Bomb. This is a dark mauve base with a micro scattered holographic pigment and that purple to reddish orange shimmer that I've seen around. Upon the first swatch, I'm bewildered at the base color of this. I thought it was going to be a little bit more mauve-ish, but the first swatch really shows that brown undertone that it has to it. Second coat, I think I went a little too light, but I prefer going lighter than heavy because then drying time increases. I still see some patchiness, invisible nail line. I'm really liking the color combo of the base and the purple shimmer. Third coat definitely gives you better coverage. I still see my nail line in person. The camera, I don't think it's capturing it very well. if I was to wear this out and about. For my thumb specifically, I probably would do a 4th coat just to deepen the color up a little bit more. It's not necessary, but I think the deeper the color, the prettier it is. It's a very beautiful polish. The close-ups show all the elements, in my opinion. It's just very pretty, very pretty. Up next, we have Freshly Bitten. This is a very vibrant purple with like pink / magenta-y shimmer. It's an immediate eye-catching polish. It seems that at extreme angles, there's an orange reddish type of shift as well. And the first swatch sealed this polish in for me immediately. It is Chef's Kiss. It's such a nice red wine stain looking polish. At certain angles, I do see that red shimmer. It seems that the purple to red shift is very in for this collection. The base color does have some blue undertones to it as well, so maybe it's not a true red wine stain, but a berry type of color. On the second swatch, you definitely see the base color a lot more. It's very beautiful. It's a very vampy type of polish, so it's kind of makes sense with the Freshly Bitten, but I know that's not the connotation that Mooncat is trying to portray with this. It's not supposed to be vampire inspired, you know. More details and my thoughts on the polishes at the end here. With the third coat, this polish deepens so much. It's such a gorgeous polish. I don't have any other word to describe besides gorgeous, beautiful, never been done before. Overall, 10 out of 10. Love this polish. And then finally we have Queen of the Dead, a very deep dark purple with red undertones. This one is the thermal polish, which I think is the first of Mooncat. I don't know if their previous name, Live Laugh Polish, if they've released thermals, but in the Mooncat verse, this is the first thermal polish. So they're testing the waters out, seeing how we like it, any feedback we have, and so on. On the first swatch, it has a very pomegranate juice type of color. It's that deep red, but as it dries, that more light blue leaning pink surfaces up, which is the color for when it's warm. So my body temperature keeps it warm, the color stays that. So that's the primary color. When I first applied this polish, I definitely felt a difference in the way it applied. It feels more creamy. I think if you are interested in getting this polish and you swatch it on, I think you'll notice a difference in what I mean. Despite having this creamy consistency, it levels out pretty nicely, I would say. I do notice though that because of my textured nails, it is very patchy. And because the indents essentially that I have in my nail are closer to my flesh, I guess, that it's warmer with the color changing thermal, those patches or those indents are a little warmer than they are on the other level of my thumb. So in that, it makes my thumb look more patchy. So I applied a 4th coat because I wanted to see if that smooths everything out with my textured nail and stuff, and lo and behold, it has. With more coats, the color deepens, of course. But again, I understand that everyone wants to do more than 3 coats. But this is just what works for me. Go ahead and follow your heart and whatnot. So I do want to showcase the color changing aspect of this in some water. So here it is in cold water. It turns into this really dark color. It almost looks black, but it's not 100% black. And then from the cuticle area going upwards, you can see how with my body temperature, it's slowly warming up again here. And then this is it with warm water, and the color goes to this vibrant raspberry type of shade. Pretty cool. Thermals are so cool. I can't believe I've never had one until now. This is great. And so with this collection, I do have some thoughts. It took some time to get these thoughts situated. I have lots of scribbles going on in my notepad. But overall, I now can say I do enjoy this collection. However, it did take me to go out into the internet, do some research, and piece the polishes, the colors and its names, and just the whole color story thing with the theme of Persephone and the underworld and love and its ups and downs and whatever. Because of that research, I can now say I enjoy this collection, and it's helped me better understand the story, as well as Michelle's essay here that she has on Facebook. Everything connects. It starts with the Garden of Evil, which is where I'm assuming or I'm putting in place that Persephone is chilling at. She's picking the, what is it, petals for a narcissist? Well, it's not really a narcissist, it's a narcissist, which is the more scientific name for a daffodil. And that's the flower Persephone is picking before Hades comes and takes her. And Dillys Ivy, that's just part of the Garden of Evil, part of all the plants, you know, in my head, at least. And then Freshly Bitten is the pomegranate / pomegranate seed that Persephone eats that makes her be stuck into coming into the underworld a certain part of the year. You know, when she goes to the underworld, it's winter. When she resurfaces, it's spring because the crops grow and everything. Then, what is it? Love Bomb is, it has to be Hades' love for Persephone. I don't know, or I didn't find much on whether or not Persephone learned to love her abductor, essentially. But she did marry him, and then in doing that, she became the queen of the underworld, which leads to the queen of the dead polish that we have here. And then in being queen of the underworld, Persephone is tasked with essentially some of the job duties that Hades was doing, which is leading people down into the underworld. And a certain section of the underworld is for the pristine, specially selected people by the gods and yada yada yada, and that's the fields of Elysium. And the two polishes that kind of confused me was To Those That Have Ghosted Me. I think To Those That Have Ghosted Me is related just because the underworld deals with the dead, ghosts, so on. And then the Trouble with Immortality polish, that to me is just the life of these gods. Like, to them, this is the troubles of being immortal, you know, dealing with these types of relations that impact us mortals, or it's us mortals retelling the story of these immortals and how it impacts us still. So same difference, I guess. But yeah, it took me a while. I had to scribble quite a bit to like get my thoughts situated down here. For some reason, I was really overthinking this collection. I don't know why. And I was doing fine in the first part of the swatches. Like, I didn't think too much of Seasons of Persephone and how they correlated to these polishes. But then I saw the latest, not the latest, but I saw a reel on Instagram from Mooncat that talked about it, and it was Michelle kind of giving us a TLDR of what she wrote on the essay. And then it started coming to me. I started overthinking it, and it kind of ruined the experience a little bit as I continued to swatch. So I went to the Facebook group, read her essay, and it still confused me a little bit because, like, it wasn't answering the why these specific colors or why this name, but like when I went out and did my own research, I could piece together on why this name. Not so much the color. Color story is like, that's their creative direction. I was just really pressed on the names and how these relate to Persephone. Anyway, I figured it out for myself. You may not agree, and that's okay. I don't expect people to go deep diving into it like I did here. It's just polish at the end. But these polishes do come with an interesting story and an interesting idea that peaked from an actual person's brain that was interested in Greek mythology. Like, Mooncat has a lot of Greek mythology types of polishes, and I think this is the first that I've actually reviewed or have gone in detail with. So I don't know, I didn't need to go this deep, I guess. Anyway, hope you liked this video, and if you did, go ahead and click that subscribe button or like button. Leave me a comment on what you thought, or if you're getting any of the polishes of this collection, or if you're getting the whole collection. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.